So yes, you get a vote in the organization. Yes, you can help guide the research if you want to, but you can also just use our health tracking app. So it's the first women's non-reproductive health tracking app. It literally only accepts women into the app, period. And we hold none of your identifying data whatsoever. And so we're not going to have like a T breach where like your ID photo, we don't have that data on you at all. But so if you just want to track your health and have a better conversation with your clinician and have better recommendations about your health, you can do that.
What's up, ladies? Welcome to the health class she deserves, the show where we ditch outdated women's health myths and talk real bodies, real cycles, and real stories. I'm your host, Autumn Paone, and we are welcoming Veronica Kirin to class today. Veronica is the founder of Asterisk Women's Health, a Web3 company working to backfill 500 years of missing women's non-reproductive health data. She's a co-founder of Anodyne Magazine and the founder of Green Cup Digital. She is also an anthropologist studying paradigm shifts, the author of the award-winning book Stories of Elders, and has presented her research at 2 TEDx events. Kirin has been named Forbes' Next 1000 Entrepreneur, one of the Geo magazine's 100 Women We Love, and a BEQ 40 LGBTQ leader under 40. Veronica, welcome to class.
Hi. I just realized that the under 40 thing is going to be shortly lived soon. Yay, aging women.
Yay. Yeah.
We're so excited.
I never would have guessed. Honestly, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be in class and to help maybe teach a little bit of the class.
Yes, absolutely. We are so excited to have you here. I'd love to begin with your story. So what led you to women's health and what fuels your passion?
Pure spite and anger fuels my passion. So I'm actually part of an accelerator right now. The Asterisk was accepted into CelloCap, which is a specific accelerator for Web3 based built companies. And we did this like kind of like, what's your why? Like, why did you start this? How does this happen? And I'm just sitting there thinking like, I'm so mad. I'm so mad. And I feel like I'm embodying the anger of every woman on the planet because I've told you 3 non-reproductive women's health disorders. So they only affect women, but they have nothing to do with whether or not I can fall pregnant. And so my healthcare has been just abysmal. But I thought when I lived in the United States, I thought this is just the US healthcare system. I don't expect much out of it. Then I moved to Germany, which is the founding country of universal healthcare, by the way. So I have more access to healthcare than I've ever had in my life. Like I actually have been going through healthcare fatigue because I can just go whenever I want. So at first it was like a candy dispenser. I'm like, just give it. Oh my God. Like, let me catch up. I was like drained of blood constantly. And yet nobody knew anything still. So I was like still struggling and so, okay, obviously something's wrong. What's happening? Not all doctors can be so terrible. And actually, I have really amazing doctors here. And they will tell me honestly, we don't know. The data's not there. And so that's what Asterisk is doing is we're fixing it for everybody. Hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. That's so funny that you say it's like a candy dispenser. You were like, oh my God, I've been deprived for so long.
Just like, give me all the healthcare. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a huge privilege. Like it's absolutely insane. I go on Reddit and I see women complaining about like not being able to even request a basic blood test. Or like my aunt passed away a few years ago from ovarian cancer, which would have been caught here because every single yearly OB-GYN visit includes a vaginal ultrasound, which means they would have seen it 3 years before she had it detected. It just would have been found. It's not available in the United States because it costs money. Yay! The anger fuels me.
Oh my God. Wait, I never even considered that like, why wouldn't an ultrasound? Because it's it's like a type of imaging that, as far as we know, doesn't like harm. It's like, X-rays and the radiation and stuff. Like ultrasounds
right, exactly.
are just, and oh my God. And I literally never considered that before, that you should be having yearly vaginal ultrasounds for that kind of thing.
Yeah, because it's the only way to detect ovarian and uterine cancer when it's early. By the time they found it, it was the size of a cantaloupe.
Oh my God.
So, yeah. Prognosis was not good. The end was not
Yeah,
good.
well,
Could have been
I'm so
avoided.
sorry for that. Because, yeah, well,
Yeah, of
that's,
course. But I'm so sorry for all the women. Yeah, so it's a huge privilege to be in Germany and to be able to get imaging. I mean, I broke my foot, and the first thing they didn't know it was broken, but they're like, oh, you've injured yourself. Go get an MRI, not an X-ray. Because it's just so I feel that privilege. And yet, in spite of that privilege, I'm still suffering what every other woman suffers, which is the incredible lack of knowledge and data, which, as you've well identified and experienced, like the second that you're not in the norm, or you start entering perimenopause, which is when your whole body like does insane things. So you start asking questions. You're no longer like just operating under the 24-hour cycle that you're supposed to squeeze yourself into. And the doctors just start basically giving up on you. It really sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. I have worked for a nutritionist for a while, and she works specifically with women in menopause, perimenopause, menopause, mostly menopause. And that's just like a big, like when I was doing research for her for like marketing purposes and stuff, I'm like in these Facebook groups reading these stories, and I'm like, holy shit, like this is crazy. Like it's just
So dumb.
it's just a deep neglect of
Right.
of just women, just a deep
Right.
neglect of women and their problems. And menopause became so medicalized. It became like a disease as opposed to just a natural phase of life. And
Right.
now it's being treated as a disease, and it's
Yeah,
like
right. There's like this organization that we know of that, again, like we live in the non-reproductive health space because 80% of FemTech startups are focused on reproductive health. So they're only focused on those two organs. And one of them that I'm aware of has a campaign called Save the Ovaries. So they're trying to go for longevity by just like, rather than supporting women in, yes, was a natural process, but it doesn't have to be horrific. They're trying to just like make menopause not happen at all. And it's like, again, like you're saying, like it's medicalizing what is supposed to happen. It doesn't have to be so bad.
Yeah. And it's
Then
it's important.
and you have the men over here trying to just like go for longevity medicine, like let's live longer. And it's like, man, I just want to live well. That's my goal.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And from like a sociological standpoint, like there's a reason that menopause, like most animals don't experience menopause. It's only like 3 mammals, right? It's like us and whales and something else.
Yeah.
There's a sociological reason for that. And we've neglected women. We've put women on the back burner. We just don't care about their opinions. And it's not the natural order of things.
No,
Natural order of
actually.
things
Yeah.
is putting women in families in the center.
Yeah. Grandmother status, whether or not you've had children, the crone status is critical to society and humanity's well-being.
Yeah. And I love that.
Anger
I love
fuels me.
Yes. I love your history. Like your history in anthropology is so cool too. Like it adds such an interesting perspective, I feel like, to your work with women's health as well.
Yeah, like so like we've dropped the hint that like, okay, so this is a company that's using Web3. We're using blockchain because it secures data in a really unique way and makes it possible for us to scale across borders and have women have an ownership stake with it in the organization. But anthropology is critical in this because if I try to explain like tokenized data, that's women don't care. Like they don't care. They just want things to be better. And so, yes, you get a vote in the organization. Yes, you can help guide the research if you want to, but you can also just use our health tracking app. So it's the first women's non-reproductive health tracking app. It literally only accepts women into the app, period. And we hold none of your identifying data whatsoever. And so we're not going to have like a T breach where like your ID photo, we don't have that data on you at all. But so if you just want to track your health and have a better conversation with your clinician and have better recommendations about your health, you can do that. And that's where the anthropology comes in, because like I see so many organizations get so bogged down in the tech as the value proposition, and then they lose everybody.
Yeah.
We need to speak to women like, y'all, we need it better. Let's make it better. The end. That's the whole story.
Exactly.
All you need to know.
And I think that's a huge selling point for me too, is like because I use natural cycles, and a lot of times they'll take surveys right on the app, and they'll ask like certain things about, if Like, for example, with the COVID vaccine, a lot of women were basically told that they were acting batshit crazy, saying that it messed with their menstrual cycle. And I understand at that time we didn't want to fearmonger about the vaccine, and we certainly don't want to be doing that now because of everything going on in the United States, at least. But
Right.
at the same time, the COVID vaccine did affect the menstrual cycle. All of the data
Right.
was there to support that. And
Yeah.
not saying that it's like, we don't know if it was necessarily like a dangerous thing or whatever. Like it's not, necessarily a reason not to get the vaccine. However, it's something that we should be aware of and that we should be studying, because if history teaches us anything, it's that all of this research is being done on men, typically white men, and it doesn't
Mhm.
always, in fact, it doesn't even often apply to the masses.
No, not at all.
So,
Now, as far as I know, and so I'm saying as far as I know, just because obviously I haven't read every single article and every single study on a specific niche, but across the COVID work that I've read, that vaccine was not studied on women's bodies, at all.
Yeah.
And this is common. So I'm so sorry. I don't anger fuels me. Only 12% of female specific animal trials. So we're going to trial for a female specific disorder, typically reproductive health, but not always. Only 12% of those use female animals. So it's so pervasive. Male default is so pervasive in research. Only around 30% of our literature, so what goes into the medical journals, has any sort of sex specificity at all in the reporting. So it's you've got the trial itself, whether or not they included women at animal trial, at human trial. And then in the reporting, maybe there were women there, but they didn't track any differences. They didn't report on any differences. It's just it's so broken down. And it, in my opinion, is really easy to fix. And that's why we're trying to do it from the angle we're doing it. It's not that complicated. We just need more, better data and not... Okay, anger fuels me. So the endometriosis study that we talked about, right? So publicly funded, university-led study on endometriosis to gauge the attractiveness of women with endometriosis. The dominant culture is asking the wrong questions about women. So that's, again, why we're doing grassroots data. That's why it's a tracking app. It will help you with your symptoms. It will help you talk to your clinician. We do a readout that is clinical talk, because I think it's something like 80% of women feel completely unheard by their doctors. I wonder why. And then that data is going and anonymized to research. And it's what's really happening to us, not what they think they want to know about our attractiveness. What the fuck?
Well, I saw another one the other day. Oh my God. I saw this meme, but it was a picture of a real research study from 2017. And I was like, I've never seen this one before.
Yeah.
And it was the effect of endometriosis on their male partners.
Yeah. Yes.
And somebody said, just send the flood. Just get rid of us all. We're done.
Why are we
don't
here?
Need to be here
Why
anymore.
do you want us here?
Right.
Yeah. So we
can't be trusted.
We put out these reports because if you go on Healthline, for example, and you ask about endometriosis, it's going to cover just the weirdest basic stuff. And then if you go and ask about fibromyalgia, or you go and ask about heart health, it's going to be male biased. Just it is anything. So we are putting out these reports about the disorders that affect women, either exclusively or predominantly. And they are all only based on research that centered women. And so we're doing one right now about endometriosis, and both of those studies we cover in it. And then we're that's great. But you can take this report to your health practitioner and say here's the data, help me.
Yes, exactly. And that's the important part, because for things like endometriosis, I've said it before, those female specific diseases, it's typically the patient that has to educate the doctor.
Yeah, over and over. I go with a stack. I have premenstrual dysphoric disorder, so female specific non-reproductive health condition, and it affects nearly as many women as diabetes affects women, and yet nobody's heard of it. So I go to the doctor with a stack. I can see it right there. There's a little folder with all of the latest studies that I do. And now, again, I've finally managed to find a team that gets it. But one of my doctors, she's wonderful at advocating, but she doesn't necessarily know the literature. And so I can hand her that and say, help. And then she'll say, okay, flip through it. Okay, I see the highlighted sections. I understand why you're asking for what you're asking for. This makes sense. Let's try it. And she's very much like, let's try it. Let's just, you've backed up your claim. Let's do it. But damn, that's exhausting to always have to do that. So that's again why like we're trying to capture from women. Women know their conditions. They know their bodies so much better than dominant culture does. So let's let women speak with researchers.
Right. What an idea. What an idea. Yeah. Let's have more women being the researchers. Like, how about that?
Let's do that.
Because they actually care.
What kind of questions do you think we would ask about men's bodies if it was just like women doing research?
If it was all reversed? Oh, God, I don't know. How can we enlarge a dick? How can we eradicate a micropenis? Just get rid of them. No more.
Oh, my God. I don't want to, like, size shaming is not, we don't love that.
No. I'm totally joking.
Surely, like, dominant culture would be like, yeah, absolutely, like the most asinine things. And then, and then the guys would be like, why are you, this is a dumb question. Yeah, we know. Yeah. That's how we feel every day. We read literature about women's bodies.
Yes. To be clear, I am not, I'm not saying that we should do research on that. I'm saying that if everything was reversed, that would be like, that's the equivalent to what the questions, that are being asked about us. It's just stupid. And it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter for our overall health. All it matters for is male pleasure, is the male gaze.
Right. Objectification.
Right. Exactly. And that's the only thing that's being considered. I definitely want to dive more into the app, but first you've said a few times the non-reproductive health issues. Yes. And I love that you clarify that. But for anyone listening who's like, why does she keep saying that? Can you just explain in your own words, like why you're always specifying?
Yeah. So there is part of the reason why so much research excludes women is that there's this old philosophy in medicine called bikini medicine, which the name makes me shudder, partly because it sounds so belittling. Like bikini medicine sounds like, just absolute nonsense. And then what it actually means is that a woman is only different from a man where a bikini covers. So again, we're reducing women to 2 organs. And so the idea is that anything related to heart health, brain health, pulmonary health, digestion, bone healing, all this stuff, it's the same. It's the same between men and women. So we only need to research men, and we only need to research women about those 2 organs. And so that's why, again, so much FemTech is centered around reproductive health, because that's what's getting funded. We can talk about like what VCs have said to me. It's crazy. And that's also why like so much research is centering reproduction for women as well, reproductive health. And so we're looking at everything else because a woman's symptoms for heart attack are different from men's, and the doctors don't know it. In fact, I was just in the emergency room a few weeks ago for a friend. And there's an enormous poster right there. And in German, it says like, are you having shooting pains down your arm? Are you having chest pains? Push this button if you think you're having a heart attack. Well, a woman might not have those feelings, and she might still be having a heart attack, and they send you home with some Tylenol, except for not Tylenol anymore, apparently. So,
well, yeah, of course.
Exactly. Because it's going to cause autism after, oh my God. And so then, so women, again, we're much more affected by Alzheimer's than men, not because women live longer, because it's the margin of difference of longevity is not enough to account for the effect of Alzheimer's. So we know that it's metabolic. We know it's tied at least to some extent to some of the things that happen during menopause and perimenopause. And we also know that all of the tests, or the majority of the tests, bias towards language. And women are very, very good at language. So then their Alzheimer's symptoms are not getting caught until later. Things like that are, again, like there are disorders like the ones that I have, which is very exciting, that really do only affect women. But then there are disorders like Alzheimer's, which affect men and women, but they do so differently and so predominantly towards women that we have to change the narrative, and we have to change the research. Others, our outcomes are just like
Yep. Yeah.
So that's why non-reproductive health.
That's And it's so important because that is often something I run into. I get a lot of people reaching out to me as like either pitching themselves or like PR pitching themselves as potential guests on the pod. And it's not that they wouldn't be good guests. It's just that I'm getting way like overwhelmed with all of these reproductive
Yeah.
healthcare professionals from a bunch of
Yeah.
different sides of things. And I'm like, it depends on how we can spin this conversation. Cause I had a wonderful conversation with Dr. Kristen Kane, who is an IVF doctor, but we talked a lot about the politics behind it, and we're kind of like had a great conversation about that. So, but yeah,
Okay.
there are just some people that I'm like, I think you'd be an amazing guest, and like maybe in a few months reach back out and see. But right now, I can't just keep
Yeah,
doing the
it's
baby
too much of
stuff.
the
Like,
same. Yeah.
especially because I think a lot of my audience, I mean, and reach out to me if this isn't true, audience, but I think a lot of them are like me, where they're like either no kids ever or no kids right now for a while. So it's
Right.
like I'm not, I need to be
You're
speaking to
not the
them.
pregnancy pod. You are the health pod.
Mhm.
And health is more than just
Yes.
being able to fall pregnant. I
Yes.
searched today, so like we're getting up our sales engine at Asterisk because again, like we have to get this data to research. And so how do we do that? And so
Mhm.
like I'm getting the page going and making it all nice. And I said, okay, I need an image of like women's health research, like a clinician looking at data or whatever. And it was all for breast health. Like when I typed that into like stock image website, it's just all for like it's all pink, the
Mhm.
pink ribbon.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're more than just boobs and a vajay. Like what?
Mhm. Mhm. Exactly.
Anger fuels me. And I keep saying that because what we're taught, especially women, is that
Mhm.
anger is like somehow bad. Anger is a protective emotion. It tells you when something is wrong, when you've been wronged. And so I've been wronged and we've all been wronged. Anger
Yeah.
fuels me.
And it's good because what else, like, that's the thing is I feel like when men get angry, they start fights, they start wars, they
Mm-hmm.
turn around and call women emotional, not realizing that anger is actually
An
an
emotion?
emotion. And when we raise men in patriarchal systems, and they're taught that
What?
they can't show emotions, that anger comes out in really toxic, super
In very
dangerous
bad
ways.
ways. Right.
Whereas with women, we're like, okay, like we tell them they can't feel anger, but we also give them much better emotional processing tools in childhood, which is another whole
Yeah.
toxic thing because we don't, even it out
Yeah.
doing that to the boys.
And then we end up doing it for our partners if we end up with male partners.
Right, exactly.
We
And
end up
then
processing
we're
them
the
too.
therapist, and yeah, but like having that anger and expressing it in a healthy way as to like, okay, how can I change this? Whereas I feel
Right.
like a lot of men in power are like, I'm angry. How can I get rid of them? How can I get rid of the
Mm-hmm.
people who
Just
wronged
take away the
me?
stimulation, which like,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
something needs to change, but it might be you.
Exactly. It needs to change, but it might be just, the entire structure of where we put men on this weird pedestal. Like,
Yeah.
it's just not the natural order of things. I see that all the time. I'm like, and the more I learn about like actual real history, not just recorded history, the things that they
Right.
want you to know, the more I realize, like, oh my God, it's just so unnatural to have
Yeah.
men in power. And I'm not saying that it should ever be reversed. I don't think we should ever treat any group of people the way that we've
Yeah. We
treated
don't want to like
women for the
go
past
full
couple of
Barbie
thousand
land.
years. Yeah, right. But at the same time, like having only men, majority men in positions of power is unnatural. It is
And
just
it's
not the
causing
way
a
of
lot
things.
of problems.
Yeah. Do you guys think everything's going well? Like, if you're disagreeing with me, can you pause for a second and just be like, do I like the way shit's going right now? If you do, you might need to check the news. Anyway, I
Mm-hmm.
digress.
Yeah. I could definitely go down this rabbit hole too.
Oh,
But we're
yeah.
here to talk about women's health.
Yes. Well, okay. So with Asterisk, I
Yeah.
saw that you said that you turn down, like, you don't want to use existing healthcare data.
Yeah.
Can you talk about your reasoning behind that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that goes right back easily to the endometriosis study that like
Mhm.
the framework and the lens that's being used in medicine and in research right now is just it's from a male focus. Like so what anthropologists learn, just to go back to anthropology, what we learn is that I don't have the lived experience to understand what it is like to be Maori. Right? I don't have the lived experience to understand what it's like to be Nigerian. Like I don't. I
Mhm.
have to take the word of somebody else to understand it. And yet in research, which is typically like male organized and male dominated, the theses and the hypotheses and the ideas and what's getting grants, what's getting funded are assumptive, right? So like there's an assumption that for some reason we need to know what's happening on to women's partners who have endometriosis, like that we have to know if women are still attractive enough. And so that's it's just the wrong lens. And so when a woman goes to a doctor and says, I have pain and it's debilitating, it's making me unable to function, right? So like, what's the doctor going to hear? If you have an amazing doctor, they're actually going to listen to you. If you don't have an amazing doctor, it's going to be a range of like anything from complains too much, is hysteric, needs mental health support, is drug seeking, right? Like you get all of these other. So why would I want that data going to research? That's not good data. That's assumptive data. So we have to go specifically to the women in order to better understand what's really happening for us. And in my opinion, that's actually going to accelerate the reality of research and our understanding of women's bodies and men's, because we know a lot about men's bodies, but we don't know a lot about men's bodies when it comes to estrogen and progesterone, just by the way. So there are things we're going to learn through this about just bodies in general, because it goes both ways. If women are only two organs, men's only two organs too. So like what we learn about the women's bodies will support men's health as well. And I think it's going to actually accelerate our ability to understand the human body as a whole, because it's starting with the grassroots knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And for anyone who's listening who's like, I'm very interested in this, what stage you're at. And of course, everybody, you can always look in the show notes. I absolutely will be linking everything. But like where are you at with this app?
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, so we have our alpha, which is like the MVP, the very first iteration that we just basically prove that it works, that all the tech Legos fit together in a way and it can function. So that is in existence, and we've kept the cohort very small using that app. So we are gathering data right now on a daily basis. That's the beautiful thing about this structure, is that you're tracking your health every day. And so then research is learning more about women's health every single day. But that's not open to the public. What is open to the public right now is our waitlist for beta, our mobile app that will be in iOS and Android stores by the end of the year. So we're on track more like mid-November, but I always like trust but verify. So like I know we're on a development track for like mid to end November, but I would rather say end of the year just to make sure that when stuff breaks, which it does, we have the time buffer. So that's what we're looking at to be able to start interacting with Astra, who you'll be able to make either very serious and caring or very snarky on a sliding scale. You'll be able to input your current disorders, your medication. You'll be able to track things like that. For example, one of my teammates, she had gestational diabetes and was told you need to be tracking your blood sugar in somewhere. And she used a Google sheet, which is like the most insecure place to do it. So you'll be able to do stuff like that. You'll be able to add to it. And she'll eventually be able to say, I'm noticing you keep saying this, or I'm noticing when you've mentioned that you tried eating gluten that day, the next 2 days, X, Y, or Z. Because how our metabolisms work is over a longer timeline than our attention spans these days.
Yeah, right.
So she'll notice that for you, and then she'll help you get a clinician readout to go talk to your doctor as well. And so I'm really excited to officially meet her, and I think my snark-o-meter will be on the full far end. I want sassy bitch talking to me why didn't you eat an apple today? What's wrong with you? And then if I'm really having a bad day, just slide it back and be like, honey, I'm so sorry to hear that. Oh girl, you've been doing great, keep going. Just a little bit of compassion
right, luteal phase tone versus a
exactly
tone.
Especially with PMDD. My God, I sometimes I just need a hug, and I know it's technology, but I also know I need a hug, so let's go, girl.
Right. And honestly, it's gotten to that sad point where technology and AI specifically is a lot more caring and useful for women's health than our doctors are.
Yeah.
And that's not speaking for all doctors, of course, but that is the majority,
Like on an
overwhelming
average?
experience. Yes.
Yeah.
And
That's not
I
right.
remember, you're right. I remember before my surgery for endometriosis, it had just been years of me in my head back and forth. I have it. I don't have it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I want an
Yeah.
explanation, but what if they don't find anything? Whatever. Leading up to my surgery, I was really freaking out they wouldn't find anything. And so I literally went on ChatGPT and put everything, any symptom I'd ever experienced in there, and was like, what do you think? I just wanted I just wanted them to come
like
up with
crazy
something.
check. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was immediately like, yeah, no, that sounds like endometriosis. It gave me all this information on endometriosis, the limited information that we have. And I was like, why is a doctor not like, a doctor knew all this information? Plenty of doctors knew all this information about me growing up, and I was not even mentioned.
Yeah. So this is a great like middle ground. It's supposed to be for practitioners, but we're actually looking to use it for Astra. There's an AI called Open Evidence, and it's open source AI, but that is learning on the literature every day. So like as new literature comes in, it's up on that. And so Astra will be as well, and then also give you the more customized longitudinal insights about your specific body. But for those who are like stuck in the middle ground, like if you can't wait for 3 months before Astra comes out, that's a way to just start to do like a crazy check. Like, because, and to anyone who's listening, like 9 times out of 10, you're not crazy. This is real. This is happening to you. And everyone else is the one who's gaslighting you, making you feel crazy and making you feel like your pain or your symptoms or your sickness isn't real. That's,
yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah. And that's
anger fuels me.
Like, yes. And that's the thing too, like even if it doesn't end up being what you originally thought, it, first of all, especially with like endometriosis, depending on like your surgeons, like there are plenty of people who did go in, get cut open, were told that they didn't have endometriosis simply because their surgeon wasn't qualified to be doing that surgery, and then found out later that they did. That's not an uncommon experience. So I do want to throw that out there. Second of all, pain is never normal. So even if you did have like a qualified surgeon, you did all the research, they cut you open, they were like, we don't see anything, and you're like, okay, I trust this surgeon. Tell me what to do now, because pain is never normal. So even if it's not what you originally thought it is, doesn't mean you're crazy either. And that was something that I really had to keep reminding myself of, and like preparing myself for leading up to the surgery, because I was like, okay, but even if they don't find anything, I'm gonna have to go down a different route. I don't know what, but something. Yeah.
And I think like I understand that perspective. I think you and I both have this like ability and understanding that like we have to fight for our health and for support. And I probably spend an unfortunate amount of time on Reddit, but I spend a lot of time in the groups that are specifically for women, and I see women say like, my doctor said this, and like all of us responders are like, this is obviously bullshit. But we have to push that person. Like, you need to find another doctor. Report that doctor. Half the time we're like, report that doctor.
Right.
But find another one, find another. And yeah, it's exhausting. Oh my God, it should not be this way. So like, to all listeners, like, it should not be this way. You should not have to find doctor after doctor after doctor after doctor to just get an answer. But I want to encourage you to rage quit, because if you've been gaslit, how many times have you been to the doctor? I've been told it's not real. Like, I literally have been told what I'm experiencing is impossible. Okay, but I know it's not, because I'm in my body. So be willing to rage quit and fight. We actually have a guide on our Substack, if you join our Substack, about like how to advocate for yourself with your doctor, and then a list of the associations to help you report a doctor or to get support when you feel like you are being like medically gaslit or written off.
That's amazing. I love that, because that's such an important mission with this podcast, is to teach women how to advocate for themselves. It's not something we're taught. We're taught the opposite, basically. We're taught to not be difficult. You're taught to like to fear taking up space, to fear taking up somebody else's time, to fear being an inconvenience. That's a doctor. And especially if you're in the United States, you're paying a fuck
so
ton of
much money. Oh my God.
For that doctor. You make them sit down and listen to you.
They're getting paid no matter what from somewhere, from someone, right? Like the money is flowing, just like listen to me.
Yes.
Yeah, be willing to rage quit. Like, again, like we're not taught, take up space. We're not taught our anger is valid. So like if you feel something is wrong, something's probably wrong. And it's okay to rage quit and go find somebody else.
Yes.
It's unfortunate. I know a lot of people are like, well, then there's nobody else in network or there's nobody else nearby. There's not, those are other problems. Luckily, telehealth has opened the doors at least a little bit with regards to that. So I know that there are other obstacles there, but please rage quit. It's okay. Do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you had mentioned that you now have like found doctors that you really like, but you have a very unique perspective, like being in the US healthcare system with 3 non-reproductive health disorders and then coming to Germany and then, healthcare being more accessible, but still running into these same issues. Like, was there a moment where you were like, holy shit, like this is just a worldwide problem?
Yeah, and I mean, like, there's I've got 2 data points. I have pals who have lived in multiple countries and experienced that kind of like gap, but I just like I protect myself. I'm the greatest champion for myself. I learned that quite early on due to bullying and some family dynamics, and so like I have a soft but protective shell around me. So like, yes, come in. I want to be your friend. I want to connect. I want community, but I will protect myself against you. I will set boundaries if you're being toxic. And so I'm hearing so many times like, we don't know, or that doesn't make sense or whatever. And at least like I have this like force field that's like, that doesn't match what's happening in here. This like, like tuning fork, this sounding rod that's inside of me. It's saying like, this is what's real. And that's not aligning with this somehow. So I need to keep going. I need to figure it out. And of course, then on my own research, I'm like, okay, obviously there is some literature for this. So I know this is real. So keep going, keep going, keep going. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really just is the more that I learn about different, because I mean, being in the United States too, you really have to seek out other information. They put you in a bubble.
I know.
And it's getting worse and worse.
I know.
Just the more I learn from other perspectives, I'm like, okay, other countries do have better healthcare, but when it comes to women specifically, like the data is still the data. Like the research that we have is coming out of multiple different countries, and it's all still these same.
And it's still predominantly done in the global north, which is yet another reason why we are using Astra to go global, to gather grassroots global real women's health information. Because when I'm a white European woman, and so the system doesn't work great for me, but at least it like has me in the database. If you are at all have a different ethnicity, like you're not only are your risks higher, but the likelihood that the data is there is even lower, even if you're a man. So so yeah, there's a lot of problems. I'm just like, why not just solve everything?
Yeah, just solve the problem.
Just try. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, get angry, solve problems. Don't get angry and start fights.
Yeah, that's a great takeaway.
Yeah.
Get angry, solve problems. Boom, boom.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I can sit here and be angry. Was anger do if held in? It causes problems. So I don't want to be unhealthier. So I'm going to just do the best I can to fix it. I don't know.
Yeah. And I know you touched on this, but can you reiterate when it comes to the data? Because I know that that's a very like sticky subject, at least, tensions here among women, especially young women in the US at the moment, is we are very cautious about having our data just out there. Like if we miss a period and that data is somewhere where like the government can access it, and God forbid we really do go full Handmaid's Tale. Like, can you just reiterate?
It's getting there. Yeah, absolutely, 1,000%. Because so I have this advantage and disadvantage that I was born in the United States. I grew up in the United States, and I still have a lot of family on that side, by the way, in the United States. So I have a like wild lens into what's going on. And so that's why we're using blockchain. So like we don't advertise as a blockchain company because everyone's going to think of the Trump coin and rage quit. Like, no, oh my God, what we're using, so we're not a crypto company. We use blockchain, which is an encryption level. And so when you verify your ID with us, which is only to verify the gender marker on your ID. And I understand that's problematic from other avenues, and there is a plan for that here in the future. We're starting with what we can. So there's a thing called a zero knowledge proof. And so the easiest way to say it is that if I am holding a 1, and you need to figure out if I'm holding a 1 or a 0. So you have a 1 or a 0, right? So like this is computer stuff. If you flash a 1 at me, and I'm holding a 1, but I haven't told you I'm holding a 1 because I don't want you to know what I have because I'm protecting. So you flash a 1 first, and I'll go, yes. And you're like, okay, but that's 1 data point. So then you flash it again, and you say like, okay, here's a 0. And I say no. And then you flash a 1, flash a 0, and then you flash a 0, 0 3 times, and you get a no every single time. You flash a 1 a bunch of times, you get, okay. So as you know, computers are data, all just 1s and 0s. And so it does that super, super, super fast. And all I've told it is yes or no the whole time. So all Astra gets as far as your data goes is a yes or a no. Are you female? Yes or no, because this is a female only app, female only database. And then from there, we hold nothing. So we never see your ID. We never save your ID. We don't know your name. You will log in with an email address just because we have to be able to give you password recovery. But you can use whatever email in the world you want to, and that's all that's attached to your account. And so from there on, if the absolute worst happens, literally the cops can't ask us, who are these women? Which, by the way, like, can you, like, nobody's thinking about how perimenopause looks like miscarriage if you're tracking in an app.
Yeah.
So if I am, so if a fucking police officer comes to me and says, we need data because so-and-so, whatever, I'm like, first of all, we don't have that. I literally cannot tell you who this data came from. It's impossible. I don't have it. All I have is username, whatever you set. Mine is Women Rule. And so I know user Women Rule said that they had a hard time with pain this week. And that's it. That's all I know. But I don't know who Women Rule is. It literally, I don't know. It's completely separate and encrypted. And not to mention we're in Germany, which is extremely privacy forward. So much so that when Google Maps came around and did the whole like street view thing, Germans freaked out. And so they petitioned the government to put pressure on Google. And so now all of the street view is like just a blur.
Nice. I know,
so
those
that's
things
why
always
we're
make me
here.
uncomfortable. Yeah, I don't like those.
Yeah, like it is fun to watch the videos of like people identifying locations using like just this tiny like view, and then they like use the whole globe to try to figure out where in the world this was. That's fun. I don't want them doing that to my house. So I'm glad to be leading this organization from Germany because of that. And we are using blockchain specifically, yes, to give women ownership stake in what we're doing, as well as be so protective that we can't have a breach like T had. We literally just don't have the information.
It is so important, I think, for women at this time in history. Is just, it's scary. It's sad that we're here, but just all of us with our phones, like our data is just everywhere. And that is one of those things I've heard. I've heard concerning things about like, saw TikTok, and this woman, she literally just went to an urgent care. Like it wasn't like her regular doctor. Went to an urgent care for something, and it was not related to her, cycle at all, let alone pregnancy. And they started asking like the normal questions that they ask, like when was your last period and that kind of thing. But then the questions got like more and more personal about like if she was pregnant, if she'd ever been pregnant, like all of this stuff. And she kind of, just because it was like a foot in the door thing, she kind of just started answering, and then was like, okay, no, I need you to delete everything. Like, I want to watch you delete everything I just said. Move on. This is not necessary. You don't need this information. I was like, that's scary. Like, why are they doing that?
Yeah, it is scary. It's absolutely scary. And always, rule of thumb is do not comply in advance. So if you feel like something is weird, call it into question, report it if you can, and keep fighting for yourself. Take up the space, as you said, Autumn. Like, be big, take up the space. You're not, in this day and age, at least for now, oh my God, we're not being put in insane asylums because we made a fuss.
Yeah.
Keep going. Keep going. Keep making a fuss.
Yes, absolutely. Be the difficult patient. Because that's how you it could save your life. Like it's not dramatic to say that. It's a very, very real situation.
Yeah. We should start a campaign right here on this episode. Like, Be a difficult woman. Be the
Yes.
difficult woman. Because we're told that, like you said, like that framing over and over, like, oh, she's a difficult woman. Like it's always woman. It's not difficult man. It's difficult woman. So like be a difficult woman.
Yes. Absolutely be a difficult woman. I love it. That'll be the hashtags for this, for these clips when this goes out.
Nailed
Hashtag
it.
be a difficult woman. Especially with have you read All in Her Head?
No, it's on my
Elizabeth Coleman? Oh my
list. No,
so
yeah.
good. She talks a lot. I mean, it's because obviously it's just is written into the history, but there's a lot about that of like just women being the difficult patients and how that's just been treated in recorded history.
That's
and
like
how that is now
it's been treated like
us.
a symptom. Like, oh, you're being difficult, so something must be wrong with you. Like referral for mental health support. And it's like,
yes, hysterical.
No,
yeah.
I'm literally. Yeah. And then there's a whole rabbit hole of like BPD being used as the new hysteria diagnosis. And it's like, oh my God. Oh, yes. So
interesting.
I'm not the person to speak to it because I don't have the mental health background to be able to do it. But borderline personality disorder is predominantly diagnosed to women and typically like within that framework of hysteria. So find somebody to interview about that.
Oh my God. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I've not, I'm going to look into that because I've not heard that one.
Yeah. That was raised within our community on our TikTok, actually. So, yeah.
Great. It's just
we love it.
It's just morphing. Yeah. And anxiety. I've also heard anxiety is one not as not as extreme, obviously, as a borderline personality disorder, but I've heard that anxiety is one that is just. And I've experienced that too. It's just kind of handed out as,
oh, it's just anxiety. You're just anxious. And it's like, well, how couldn't I be? But no, actually, I do think there's something actually going on right now. And then not to mention on the topic of perimenopause, that is a symptom of perimenopause. So if you're itchy and you have high anxiety all of a sudden, those are symptoms of perimenopause that doctors probably will never, ever put together.
And especially if you have struggled with anxiety before, just, earlier in life, also, obviously, there's a bigger risk there. And then with PMDD, especially as well, because of that sensitivity in your nervous system responding to hormone fluctuations, like perimenopause is a hormonal roller coaster.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like that anxiety and mental health is a really, really big part of it. And so it's not like, we're not saying you don't necessarily have these mental health things that need to be addressed. It's just like anxiety has never caused like constant specific pain, constant specific physical pain. Like that's
and like a sense of doom. That's a sense of impending doom is a legitimate symptom for a lot of like, especially heart related conditions, like especially people who come out of like quadruple bypass. They warn you. They're like, you will probably feel like the world's about to end because that is a common symptom after being like fully cut open like that. And a sense of impending doom is like just as an actual symptom in literature. It's like, yeah, but they tell that to men.
Oh my God. Well,
they call it a sense of impending doom when it's a man, and when it's a woman, it's anxiety.
You're just being silly. Yeah, meditate or something. Go shopping. You women love to shop.
Oh, fuel the system. No.
That sense of impending doom thing is so relatable because growing up, God, I was such an anxious child, and I didn't get diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder until I was 23. So it was much later in life, and I never considered myself like an anxious person. And I remember saying that to my sister, and she looked at me like, what? Like, you're the most anxious child I know. And, oldest daughter syndrome and all of that. But that sense of impending doom was so present in my childhood. It was never really recognized as like a symptom of anxiety or something.
Right.
And now it's so much better that I can like recognize it. Also, growing up Catholic, there's a lot of that like guilt and the fear of eternity and all that. Like that fed into it so much.
Yeah. All the buttons get pushed. It's like, well, yeah. Cause oh my God, like you're supposed to be perfect. And if you're not perfect, you're sinful, but you're human. So obviously you're sinful. So then just you're wrong and you're going to hell.
Exactly.
Even when you've just been normal.
Right. Yeah. And then even honestly, the idea of going to heaven also freaked me out. I was like, forever? Like literally no end time. Oh, I would go into
Yeah.
spirals. Oh my God. Yeah.
I'm
And that's
sorry, and I
I've
relate.
seen I've seen people now on the internet. It's like, it's cathartic. I'm like listening to them. I'm like, yes, this was
Mhm.
exactly. It's nice to know that there are so many other people out there who went through the same thing, because then it
Yeah.
really adds to this idea of like, this wasn't truth. This was,
Yeah.
very specific brainwashing.
It
But
was control.
oh my God, yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Now that we're
there.
besties.
Yes, exactly. This whole episode has been cathartic. I feel like this is,
Mm,
I hope that everyone else is also like, yes, this is like,
yeah.
just fueling my feminine rage in like a healthy way.
Yeah.
That's what I would hope.
Yes. Please.
And go out and do something, guys. Like, if there's anything that you should learn from this episode, it's, you're mad about a problem, go fix it. And don't fix it by eliminating the enemy. Fix it by like
Right.
actually fixing it. And
Yeah.
you're women, so I know that you can. Okay.
Fuck
I know that you
yeah.
can.
Yeah.
There is a question that I love to ask all of my guests. So, and you can take it any I know we talked about a lot of things in this episode, so you can take it any direction that you would like. But if you could rewrite the health class curriculum that every woman deserves, what would your first lesson be?
Oh my God. So many. Okay, so I'm a really big fan of the show Shrinking. So I'm actually a big fan of like the whole like what Brett Goldstein is doing. So it started with the Ted Lasso and now Shrinking. And both of those have such good examples of female sexuality as empowerment. And there's a line at some point in the show Shrinking, because like the main character has a teenage daughter and he's worried that she'd be crushing on somebody. And he's like, oh man, like what's going to happen? And his neighbor and friend are there drinking, which isn't necessarily relevant, but they're a little feistier than maybe they normally would be about the topic. And they're just like, Jimmy, teenage girls be fucking. And like it just normalizes.
Yes.
And so like I think like you were talking about, especially growing up Catholic, that sense of shame as to like what is normal. You're going through puberty, your hormones are going insane. Like you're like on electricity every single day of your teenage life. And from like 12 to 19, shit's crazy. And you're going to feel things for people that you don't want to feel for them, but your hormones don't know that. And it's wild time. And then of course you're probably going to make some bad decisions, and it's okay, be safe. But like, I just want to like validate, like, I think like that like first shame sends us into this like crazy curve. And now you and I both have had to do all this reclamation and empowerment and anger management, but to like, as in learning to own your anger and to live in your anger as opposed to ignore your anger. And I think like if the just like the first line of the slideshow was like, you are normal, you're going to feel like you're in your body's electricity every single day. That's okay.
Yeah.
I think that would change a lot of us.
For sure. Yeah. Well, because I've talked about it on the podcast before, just like such open gaping wounds around my sexuality for a long, I mean, still struggle with it, but for a really long time was just like so uncomfortable with my sexuality. And I also have talked about on the podcast, I have a generally high libido, just in general. And I think that maybe that probably came along when I really started paying attention to my cycle, was when that like really started. But having
when
that
I went off
dichotomy,
birth
like,
control, holy shit.
yes, I've heard that. Yeah, like it's,
oh my God.
that shame around sexuality and being like, women don't like to have sex, coupled with really, really like liking and wanting sex, is such a difficult like cognitive dissonance. You're like, this is wrong. This is sinful. This is unnatural. Women aren't supposed to want this. But we teach that to boys, like young boys. Like for anyone who's like, no, you can't talk to teenagers, to children about sex. We're telling it to boys all the time. We're saying you're going through puberty. You're going to have these desires. You're going to be
you're
like,
going to pop a boner
horny.
in class.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Nobody's
They're
talking about how I like learned to cross my legs on my own at age 12 because I didn't know how to manage my period in school. And now I have pelvic floor issues because I chronically cross my legs.
Yes.
Like nobody's telling you like the shame is fucking hurting and it's normal. And I actually, just to your point about high libido, I actually wonder if all women just like not all women, because of course like being asexual, being demi. Hi, demi. I'm demi. But like that's real. But like, I think the bar for what is a normal female libido is way lower than reality. And then, as you're saying, like the shame and the assumptions around that make us even sublimate it anymore. So, yeah,
I
just
completely
fuck
agree.
that.
I know. Yeah. Because it is so, it's like, oh God, yeah. And then there's also just this weird, like these stereotypes when I see things online in relationships, like people, therapists or whatever, talking about like how to talk to sex with your partner. And it's always this opposite of like the man always wanting to have more.
They're assuming that, right?
Yes. But I've been in the situation where it was opposite. And I was like,
me too.
Well, what do
I have
like,
no
I
tools.
don't know how to approach this.
I haven't been getting, there's no tools given to me because I've been taught that I only have response of a desire. I am a flower to be opened. And like,
right. Ew.
Sorry to anybody who just threw up. And so yeah, and then like the man then is supposed to is and given by pop culture, like we don't talk about how much, again, anthropology, like pop culture, dominant culture teaches certain groups certain skill sets based on some wild assumptions. And so then if you're in that situation, you don't have the skills for engagement because the skills were taught to your male partner if you have a male partner. And so like
yep
oh my god,
be sexy,
so
but
like
not
when are
too
you
sexy,
like do you have like 2 more hours because like we could keep talking,
right. Exactly, just clear your schedule for the day,
y'all. We're gonna be going for a long time.
Oh my god, yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you are welcome back on the podcast anytime. We could just pick a new topic and just keep doing this. Yeah,
well, like in a couple months we might have some like really interesting insights in the data. We can start to jam on that.
Oh my god,
and like
yes,
let's bust
so
some
true.
real bubbles.
I would love that. Definitely stay in touch. That would be amazing. I would love that. And I am on the waiting list for Astra as well. So I'll definitely be downloading that as soon as it's out. And I will make sure that link is below for everyone as well. So make sure you all get on the waiting list. So you can download Astra as soon as it's out because you can be firsthand in changing the entire landscape of women's health.
Yes.
So
yes.
Yeah, it's really cool stuff. Really cool stuff that you're doing.
Thank you. Thanks
Thank
a lot.
you. Of course. So
we're doing it in different ways.
Yes, exactly. Where else can people find you other than the website and everything?
Yeah. So like you can follow Asterisk. Yes, on the website. We're on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, awesome. Like all the places. We're on X. I hate it. Yeah. And then for me personally, like if you're interested in more about my particular work around paradigm shifts, anthropology, or just like, like general, I don't know, you're curious. I do. Oh my God. So I had a kind of like Handmaid's Tale dystopian short story that won an award. It just came out today. So that's also on my website. Amazing. So I have a personal website in addition to the Asterisk website where I'm doing spicy writing, like how I started telling men in the tech industry when I menstruated to see what would happen.
Oh my God, I love that.
So two places to engage.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely be going to read that because that sounds right up my alley. I love that. And I want to get more into, I used to love writing like in school, but then it became such an academic thing. Well, I started a newsletter for the podcast. Shout out to anyone who's not on that. Make sure you find that in the show notes as well. So that's just like a little bit, like at least that's keeping me consistent with it and just on Substack and hopefully it can light the fire to do more creative stuff in the future.
Yeah.
But yeah, awesome. I will put all of that below for everybody. Thank you so much for being here today, Veronica. This was an amazing conversation and we definitely will be in touch and we'll have future conversations for sure.
Love it. Thanks, Autumn. Yes. It's been really fun.
Thank you. Yes. All right. Class dismissed.